I'm the youngest child of an Irish family of 5 kids. Hi, my name is Damien Killeen, and I am a gay man! So I've got 3 older brothers, all very masculine, in the army, working as mechanics, etc. So the environment wasn't very gay friendly, so I left it very late to come out. I moved out as soon as I turned 18, and when I was just before I turned 20, I felt ready, and I felt I was dating someone for the first time, and I decided I really had to. And for some reason, I picked a night and was like, tonight I'm going to visit them and tell them. So I went to go and see my parents, and they always had this routine where my dad would go to bed first, and my mum would stay up a little while watching terrible TV until she fell asleep on the couch, and then she'd go to bed. So I was waiting for my dad to go to sleep, and then for some reason, which has never happened before, my mum stood up and said, "Oh, well, I'm going to go to bed now." And I panicked, and I stood up and said, "No!" And I didn't know what to say next. So I just froze for ages. And my parents were really, I think they thought I was going to tell them I was going to jail or something. They generally were really concerned, because I just started like shaking and I couldn't speak. And I think I realized afterwards the problem I had was I felt like I had to say the words, "I am gay," for it to be a clear coming out. But those 3 words are such a cliche that I was humiliated having to say them. So I couldn't verbalize those 3 words, and there's no other way of saying it really. At some point you have to say them, so I just eventually said them. And saying them was so, for me at that time, distressing. That's what broke me down and made me really emotional. They took it quite well. I don't know if they had suspicions, or I always compare my family to the Mitchells in a way that if you're part of the family, it's okay. So up until that point, it had always been a bit of a joke. Gay people, gay things. But when I came out, it became a sort of, well, you're one of us, so it's almost okay. And I knew that the family was okay with it. Like the next Christmas, when my sister started making jokes about, "Do you want another sausage?" and stuff, like taking the piss out of it, that's when I knew they'd sort of dealt with it really well. I think the hardest one was my brothers. I did actually have a moment recently with one of my older brothers who said I helped him deal with his homophobia, because up until that point he had been really anti-gay. And we've always had quite a complex relationship because he's been dealing with his own things. And we always had to share a room, and so I was always near him, and he's always very volatile, and it's part of the reason why I repressed that side of myself. So it was really nice to see that time and making the effort had changed him. I think I left clues. So I imagine there must have been, like, for example, my brother punched a hole in my wall, and I covered up with a Britney Spears poster because it was the only thing I had lying around, which is suspicious enough. And various things like that. I don't know whether they knew or not. I was quite closed. I regret not coming out sooner completely, because if I had come out sooner, I would have a better relationship with my family now. If you have a secret that huge from your family for such a long period of time, you can't help but put a wall between you and them. And even though now I know that they love me because I'm one of the family, etc., they don't really know me at all, and I don't really know them, and we don't really have that sort of relationship at all beyond that, because I never allowed there to be that relationship. So even though they've turned out quite accepting of me because I left it so long, I don't really have a close relationship with any of my family, beyond understanding that they love me and they'll be there for me if I needed to go somewhere, or if something happened to me, they would. But I can't feel that sort of connection to them because I left it so long. So the only thing I would say is do it really quickly. And you know, if you come out, it doesn't have to be the be and end all. If you come out as gay, well, in 2 years' time, you might decide you're bi. You might decide you know, there's no harm going to come out from long term, from taking the risk, because if you're considering things anyway, then you're in an unhealthy mind space to keep it to yourself. So even if it causes a rupture in the family and it's really, you're worried about what that's going to have repercussions wise, the repercussions for your mental health are much worse if you don't. How I got involved in working in a gay bar and managing a gay bar, and I was once, when I first moved to London, I was about 21, I was working in a straight bar a bar in the British Film Institute, and they had an LGBT festival night, and I was behind the bar and I'd never seen any gays before, and I was amazed. I was just staring around in utter excitement. And then I decided, oh my God, like I really want to be around other gay people, and I had this really deep need to not be so like cut off from everyone by my sexuality. So the next day I literally just quit and walked around Soho with CVs and then got a job here the next day in Kubar, and haven't looked back, and it's definitely fulfilled a need. And that's one of the benefits of when you come out, you can stop partitioning off your life into segments and you get to actually blend things together. And that's probably the greatest liberation